You're listening to Shift Everything, a podcast by West 40, where we challenge the status quo in education. I'm your host, Chris Coffey. It's one of the highest honors a school can receive in the United States. Now students at Pleasantdale Elementary in LaGrange can say they attend a National Blue Ribbon School. Pleasantdale is a recipient of the 2023 National Blue Ribbon School Award by the U.S. Department of Education. It's among 313 public schools nationwide receiving the country's highest honor for academic performance. And I have the superintendent of Pleasantdale School District, Dr. Dave Palzet, here to tell us more about this great honor and what it was like for the students and teachers to find out that they won this award. Superintendent Palzet, thank you very much for joining us on Shift Everything.
Oh, thanks for having me, Chris. I'm looking forward to it.
So not every school can get this honor, and this is not an easy award to get. Could you just tell us what is the National Blue Ribbon Award and why it's so important?
Sure. It's an award that's given out annually to either schools who have exemplary high performance or have worked to close an achievement gap. So those are the two categories that a school can get the award for. We received it for academic excellence this year. And it really is, like you had said, just really the highest honor that a school can get. Super selective. It's based on population and the number of schools a state would have in their particular state. And so generally there's between, I want to say 15 and 20 schools in Illinois that receive this award per year. And that's all schools, not just 20 elementary, 20 middle, 20 high school, 20 schools total for across the state.
How did you break the news to your students and teachers?
This has been in process. You actually get nominated for the award the year prior. And once you're nominated, there's an application process, and it's a pretty rigorous process. So we had a committee at the elementary school made up of teachers, administrators, ESPs who worked together to put that together and really had to kind of keep it on the DL. You're not supposed to talk about the nomination. You're not supposed to talk about the application process because there have been schools that have been nominated, but then based on the current year's scores and outcomes, don't necessarily receive it. So they don't want you to go out there and start making a big to-do. So it was like a really difficult secret for us to keep. But, we kind of did an all school announcement to the staff. We did a hype video on Facebook a couple days before saying, watch for a big announcement on Monday. I think it was September 19th that it came out. So we said, watch for a big announcement on September 19th, did a hype video. And then we worked with West 40 to create the announcement video that was just so well done and kind of outlined what the award was, how hard we worked to get it, and kind of announced us as a Blue Ribbon school. And we shared that on Facebook. We shared it with staff and in an email with parents.
What is it to you as a superintendent, as a leader of a school district, to have this award? Does this add a certain amount of prestige to the community? How do you basically celebrate the success, and what do you do with it going forward?
Yeah. I think more than anything, it's just validating of the hard work that we've done. We've worked so hard to make academic improvements and academic gains and make sure every child gets what they need to be successful both in and out of their classrooms. And, to work that hard and then get recognized with a blue ribbon really is, like I said, super validating for us. So I do think it is, again, it's so selective that it is a prestigious award, but it also is a little kind of a cap in our feather in our cap, rather, and allows us to really communicate to our community the real value that these schools bring. Everybody knows that schools in any community add value to that community. This gives us a tangible symbol of really that value that we bring to kids and the community.
And I know that your school district has said in the past that the core of your elementary success is the belief that all members of the school community are just that integral part of creating a school where students thrive. Could you kind of elaborate on that?
It really, the whole thought of it takes a village to raise a child. I can't think of another place where it is more true than Pleasantdale. I mean, it is such a small community with only 2 schools, just about 850 kids. Such a small community that everybody knows everybody and everybody kind of chips in to help kids grow and develop. We have parents who are constantly volunteering, not only in places like the library, in the lunchroom, but helping in classrooms, reading with kids in the back of the classroom, helping kids with some of the work that they're doing. And that has been a real contributor to this success. I think when everybody feels like they're part of the solution, they get to take ownership of some of those accolades and some of the success that we feel.
Now, for any other administrators out there or educators who are listening to our podcast and they're thinking, you know what, I think our school could do this. What advice would you give to other school leaders out there that want to see if a National Blue Ribbon could be in store for their schools?
Yeah, so we were super thoughtful about moving forward and student achievement. And we did a couple of things. One, we did a complete curricular overhaul, both in math and in literacy and ELA. We had started some of the phonics work and some of the science of reading work before it was kind of popular and in vogue. We started about 3-4 years ago with that. And I think those curricular changes really helped. But the other thing that we did is we got really, really purposeful about our work around assessment, using data to move kids forward. We looked at our IAR data because, for better or worse, that's how schools are judged, based on those student scores and outcomes. And we targeted kids who had scored a 3, and the goal was to move them to a 4. But even more specific than that, we really focused on kids who had scored 10 points or fewer away from that 4, that meets standard. And what we did is we provided additional intervention, additional motivation. We really made sure that every kid in the school understood how to take the test and how to use the tools within the test. And then we really celebrated their success. And it took us about 2 years of that, and we really saw our scores improve to where this year we, I think 70% of our kids were in the meets and exceeds category in ELA and 65 or something like that in math. So I think the combination of a really robust curriculum and being really purposeful about helping kids improve their outcomes on that particular assessment helped drive the outcome.
And Dr. Palzet, during the pandemic, while a lot of schools in the area might have been remote only, your school stayed open. Is that true?
We did. We were in person the entire time in some form or fashion. Now, in the early days of the pandemic, we were going half days. It took us about 2.5 months to go about 3/4 of a day. And then I want to say by January or February, we were full days, and we went from 75 students attending in person to 85 students to 95 students by that January, February, March-ish timeline. So again, I think that speaks to our staff who really recognize the importance of in-school learning and having kids in classrooms rather than on Zoom. It spoke to our parents who trusted us enough to keep their kids safe and send their kids to school. And it spoke to our entire community for the support that they gave us through a really, really difficult time.
And do you think by doing that, that allowed the kids to absorb that much more knowledge, which ultimately contributed to assessments going up, which led to the National Blue Ribbon Award?
Yeah, I can say that we didn't see the COVID slide that many of our peers saw. I can only attribute that to a greater amount of kind of seat time for our kids in school, but we didn't necessarily see that slide. And we saw our kids actually, any slide that we did see for some individual students really rebound very quickly once we got back to a more normal school experience.
So we're a couple months into the new school year. How are things going at Pleasantdale?
It's great. It's really great. I mean, this year, it really does feel like just a kind of normal school year. The beginning of the school year was really, really smooth. It was one of those things where construction was done and the floors were waxed and the technology worked and the kids showed up and everything just kind of worked really well at the beginning of the year. And it's just kind of built upon itself. That success is just built upon itself. And we are just really doing some great things for kids. So there's a really nice culture, nice feel within the district, and we're excited to keep moving forward.
And when you hear about your kids that have since gone on to the high school in your area and you get good news from them, especially kids that might have been at the tail end of might have been in sixth grade during the pandemic.
Mhm.
What's it like to hear from them, knowing that they're doing well in the high school?
Yeah, it's great. We do a freshman preparedness survey. The entire township here in Lyons Township does a freshman preparedness survey. There are two components to it. We ask the kids how well prepared they feel for each subject, how well prepared they feel for the rigors of high school, study skills, time management, things like that. And our kids routinely come back with feeling, 80-90% of our kids saying that they feel really well prepared for high school, which is really validating for us. But then what really kind of reinforces that number is that when we look at the number of students who are getting A's and B's in those core classes, that math, science, history, and English, we have, again, like 90% of our kids getting A's and B's in those classes. So I think that we're starting to figure out the secret sauce to make things work. So we're going to kind of keep building on that success and keep moving forward.
And Dave, I know since I have you on and you're a superintendent of a Chicago area school district, the nation is dealing with a teacher shortage right now. What's the horizon look like regarding teachers in your area? And do you see hope that more kids, more college students will want to pursue a career in teaching, and why that's so important?
Yeah, I mean, I will say last year we had a really, really difficult time filling all of our vacant spots. This year, we were able to be fully staffed at the beginning of the school year. So I don't know if that's more graduates coming out, us doing a better job advertising some of the positions that we have available, word of mouth. But we definitely had an easier time this year. With that said, I wouldn't say it's easy. There definitely is a teacher shortage, definitely in special areas like special education, math teachers, science teachers. It's hard to find some of those specialty positions. I don't think it's going to get better soon. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. From what I understand, and in talking to my colleagues at the university, they're seeing fewer and fewer high school students wanting to move into education as a career option. And, in some respects, I understand that. There's a respect issue that is happening in schools right now. Schools seem to be a hot button issue for some political kind of football playing that's going on. And with a big election coming up, I have a feeling that schools are going to be kind of thrust into the center of that, of the culture wars there as well. So it's hard to put yourself on the line. And while it was a calling, it's always been a calling. I think that calling has to be even stronger now, given all of the kind of societal pressures that are put on teachers.
But in the meantime, Pleasantdale Elementary, big time honor to get that National Blue Ribbon Award. Superintendent Palzet, really nice talking to you today. Thank you very much for sharing your story and talking about this great honor that your students, your teachers, your staff, and the community just received.
Thanks so much for the opportunity, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to Shift Everything. We want to hear your thoughts and bold ideas and share your educational accomplishments. To join the conversation, email us at shifteverything@west40.org.